What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Fargo Season 5, Episode 1, The Tragedy of the Commons. So this one for me personally feels a bit more like a Fargo season setup. You've got your innocent that is kind of caught up in all of it, even though it seems like she's not necessarily totally innocent, but she's definitely trying to make a normal living for herself. She's got a husband, she's got a daughter. Yes, she's got a disapproving mother-in-law who's very rich, but overall she seems to be very normal. But clearly there's something else going on. She gets caught up in something. Don't know what it all is yet. But I like that setup better than having two crime families be warring, and that's kind of our main focus for a season. So, well, I will reiterate, I think season 4 was a good season. This feels much more like a Fargo type of season. This feels much more like the setup that I would want to see from the show. We've also got introduced to our cop. I don't know much about her yet. I honestly don't even remember her name. We did see apparently she's either dating or married to some loser who thinks he's going to be on the PGA Tour, but he's terrible, seemingly. He's also wasting a ton of money on that stuff as well. So she seems to be the character we'll be rooting for. Probably the one that's going to be trying to piece together a lot of this information about. I do remember it's Dorothy because I saw her name, and also I think she goes by Dot, but I'll see which one people tend to call her more often. But I think more than likely this cop that we met, she's going to be the one that's trying to piece some of it together, as well as the cop that Dot saves inside the convenience store. I think he'll probably try to help her piece it together since he witnessed a lot of it. And I don't know. I don't know exactly where it's all going to go. I assume a lot of it's going to go down with whatever past Dot has, because it seems like we're getting little glimpses of it so far. We haven't really fully grasped what the whole situation is, why these guys are trying to track her down in the first place, why they tried to kidnap her. I figure we'll get those story beats at some point, but I like this setup so far because it's got a lot of intrigue, it's got a lot of mystery, and it's got those, again, those Fargo cliches that I feel like season 4 was sort of lacking. The only character that I felt sort of fit that Lester Nygaard, Ed and Peggy Blomquist, or was it Ennis Stussy, I think, was the brother who was the good guy that got caught up in a bad situation. Those characters, we didn't really have that in season 4. The closest one we had was Orietta, but even then, she didn't really feel like a good person. She didn't feel like a normal person. She felt like somebody who put up that facade, but that's not who she is. I think what Dot's going to be is going to be a bit more. I think what Orietta should have been, which is somebody who maybe does have a dark past that she's trying to escape, but it kind of starts pulling her back in type of thing. I think if that were Orietta's story, it would have maybe pulled my interest a bit quicker. But unfortunately, the way they set it up, it didn't really get going until a few episodes in. Whereas with season 5, I'm already invested. I'm already wanting to know what is her story, what is going on with her, and how it's all going to affect everybody around her. Because we've already seen a couple people die. Some really funny deaths, some really sad deaths. Because there were a couple that, I mean, it felt very sudden and very like, oh my gosh. But then there were also a couple, like the two in the gas station for me personally, were really funny. Having that moment where the guy comes out the stall and she just bashes him in the face and he slips and hits his head on the toilet. That was hilarious. The one kid who talked about having an air horn, blowing it in the guy's face, and he doesn't even turn to look at him, just lights him up. That was hilarious too. So those two are funny. The one cop that got shot, though, that was obviously not funny. It might have actually been the only 3 deaths now that I'm thinking about it. I think I was also thinking about the opening scene at the PTA meeting. And what a great scene to sort of bring up how our world is now, because it is a lot more aggressive, a lot more people fighting with each other over stupid stuff. I mean, that is what our world has become, and this is set in 2019, so yeah, around that time, it's only gotten worse since then, but I would say 2017, 2018 is really when all of the aggression between each other started. and it's just continued to progress from there. But I feel like all the characters we met so far, they're interesting, they're intriguing. I want to know more about them. They've already got my attention a lot faster, I think, than season 4 did. And I think most of that is, I think of the setting, I think of what these characters are. I feel like it's just a lot better of a setup for a show like Fargo. Whereas, again, season 4, you've got crime families. That can be fun, but I don't feel like I'm relating to them as quickly as I am some of these characters. Also, the fact that it was set back in the 50s, I think. Granted, there are some similarities between the 50s and now, but it's not the same as, okay, it's set in 2019, so I can look at some of what's going on and I can relate to some of what's going on. There's something much more intriguing to me about a more present day setting than something set back in a time where there's not a whole lot we can relate to. So, yeah, I think overall it's a good first episode. I'm excited to see where the season's going to go, so on to the next one. I'll see you there. And now, episode 2, Trials and Tribulations. So far, I mean, it's, like I said, really got my interest. And getting some of the answers about what all is going on, I think it's doing a great job so far. I think it's a good season that is setting up everything very well. We're getting to know the characters. We're getting to know kind of the backstory of some of them and why these things are happening. And also, I like the developing dilemmas as well, because not only is Dot running from, obviously, is it Loy? No, Loy was last season. Roy Tillman. Not only is she running away from him and trying to stay ahead of him, now she's also got to worry about her mother-in-law, who seems like, I mean, we don't know exactly what she does. All we know is she has a lot of money, and she clearly has a lot of control in, I guess, the local community. So I don't know exactly how those stories are going to connect and how they're going to clash, but I feel like at some point that's what will happen. On top of that, we've also got this hitman that was hired by Roy, who is out there, and don't know exactly how he's going to connect to all of it, but there are so many different pieces of this, and basically like most of the other Fargo seasons, honestly, something that the last season did do well, similar, is this whole concept of you've got multiple battles going on at once, and how those battles change the outlook of other battles, basically. So it's almost like if you could imagine 4 games of chess going on the same board, and even though this person thinks they're facing this person, they don't see that this person on this side is making moves that's affecting them along the way. There's something very intricate about the way they do storytelling in Fargo, and I'm always here for it. Again, last season, as much as I thought it wasn't quite the Fargo feel, that is something that they had, and it's something they've had the entire series that I think they do very, very well. So I'm definitely excited to see more of it. I think Juno Temple as Dot doing a fantastic job so far. Most of them, I feel like everybody's playing their parts really well, but that switch in this episode that she flipped to go from the very sweet, charming, like, oh no, I'm just here to, serve my family. Like that switch being flipped to the moment where she's like, look, I did not climb my way out of hell to be, run over by you. Like that moment right there confirmed it for me. I'm excited to see her in action this season. And I feel like the fact that she is the main character is also very compelling. Whereas compared to last season, there were so many different characters. This season, it really does feel like we are rooting for her. We want to see her survive. We want to see her get away from all these people. And I don't know, because most of the time, this character that we're kind of following throughout the season, most of the time they're not perfect. They are sympathetic, and we do want to see them succeed. But there is something about them that makes you kind of go, but you're not a great person. So far, I've not seen anything about her. Clearly, she's willing to fight, and she's willing to hurt whoever she needs to get away. But I don't see anything that feels more self-defense. It doesn't feel like she is a not good person. It seems like she is just trying to survive. So I wonder if we're going to find out anything about her that maybe will flip our mindset because I think about, I want to compare her to Peggy in the second season, because there's a lot of similarities between her and Peggy, I feel, where she almost tries to play this, oh, I'm just, I'm just very clumsy, all of that stuff. Very similar character traits there. But with Peggy, it felt like there was this darkness to her that she had been hiding for a while. Something about her that when after she had the hit and run, it just awoke that side of her, and she was willing to do whatever it took to basically get away with it. With Dot, so far it just feels like she's willing to do whatever it takes to survive. That's not quite the same level of it's not a great look for you. So I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if I'm really I guess explaining my thought process well, but I just simplifying it down, I wonder if there's going to be anything about Dot that is going to be less than pure, less than innocent. Because at that point, that's where I think these characters can be very strong, is when you give them this sympathetic story and make your audience kind of want to root for them, but at the end of it all, they are still bad people. And so ultimately, as much as they try to fight, as much as they try to survive because they're caught up in the situation that they don't want to be in and all of that, at the end of it all, it always catches up to them. I don't know if that's going to be her story or not, so that's kind of where my mind is going, is because we've had so many characters that are innocent people caught up in bad situations, ultimately those situations catch up to them and they can't get away from it. So is Dot going to be that innocent person caught up in a bad situation? Or is she a bad person that was caught up in a bad situation but is trying to change, is trying to get out of that? Just some thoughts running around in my head. And again, I know I probably did not explain that super well, but that's just where my mind is about her. But we'll see whenever they finally explain, I guess, more about the living situation in Roy's town and how everything works there. I don't know. I don't know what to expect, but I assume we'll get that information soon, and it will finally let us know whether or not she's a heroine that's trying to survive, or if she is a bad person who's trying to change her ways. But yeah, a lot of great moments in this one. The FBI showing up at Roy's place was fantastic. The moment whenever, I think his name is Munch, in the subtitles said, the hitman, whenever he got away, that was a great moment. The moment whenever Gator is Roy's son, when he showed up at the hospital, I kind of wonder if, again, I don't remember the cop's name now, but the woman cop who's dating the loser that plays golf, whenever he deleted the picture off her phone, I kind of feel like she already suspects something is off about this guy. It seems like she's very intelligent and she's already putting pieces together. So I almost wonder, because he even walked out of the hospital and he's like, that bitch is so flummoxed or something. I think that was the line. But I almost kind of expected her to walk out and like give him eyes as if she knew what was going on, but they didn't show that. So I don't know if she is gonna catch on that there was something off about him. And if she did, when are we going to see that she noticed something? But yeah, I think she's definitely going to be kind of another main character that we'll be following as she's trying to piece this whole mystery together and figure out what's going on with Dot. I think that's about it for this one. There was a weird moment late on when they started playing This Is Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't really understand why exactly, because they played it as Gator and the guy he was with were driving to the gas station right before Munch showed up and killed the one guy and put the whole "You Owe Me" signboard on him. So I don't really understand that song choice. Maybe it's something that I'm just not smart enough to see the connection, or it's just, hey, it's a weird song and this is a weird show, so we're gonna put weird songs in this weird show. I don't know, but yeah, that's about it for this one. On to the final of these 3 episodes. I'll see you there. And now episode 3, The Paradox of Intermediate transactions, I think. I don't know. It cuts it off. But anyways, solid first 3 episodes to kick it off. The one hiccup I have in this episode is only Munch. And granted, every season of Fargo has had that sort of weird element to it. You know, it's a little bit of supernatural elements. I can't remember any in the first season, but definitely, season 2 had the UFO. Season 3 had the one preacher that was like, you know, somehow able to show Yuri his past self or whatever. And then last season, of course, had the haunting men. Munch is kind of weird, and his whole thing about, I guess, coming from the past somehow. He was there 500 years ago and eating the sins of some guy. I don't know. I was completely thrown off by that. And then his little ritual here at the end, I have no clue. I don't know what's going on with that at all. I'm totally lost. I mean, granted, it's not like being lost when it comes to Fargo is completely unheard of. The writers typically do a good job of having some weird moments that maybe has some point, but most of the time it kind of feels like maybe they don't have much of a point. Maybe sometimes it's weird just to sort of be weird. At least that's how I take it. Munch kind of seems like that right now, but he is also a very important character. Most of the time, if they've had weird stuff in the past, it's kind of been more off to the side or not really focused on. So if whatever is going on with him, he is front and center at the moment. So I hope they, I guess, maybe explain a little bit about what he's doing, what all that ritual is supposed to be. I don't know. But everything to do with Dot at the moment, it's really intriguing. I find what she's going through very engaging as well from the audience's point of view, because again, you really want to see her survive in all of this, and everything she's setting up, all of the stuff, it's very clever setup, and it shows just how resourceful she is as well. So I think they're doing a really good job of building her up as the protagonist for this season, but also your side protagonists as well. I feel like are having some good moments. You know, the moment with the one cop who I think her name is Indira, I believe. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I saw her name pop up at one point, so I think that's who she is. But you have Indira, who is going around trying to get some more answers. She actually goes and talks to Wayne's mother at this point. I mean, it's fun to see her go through the steps of piecing all of it together. So I think she's taken some proper steps forward, and that's fun to watch. Wit and what he's going through, seeing Gator down the evidence room, I guess. I don't know why the words are not coming to me at the moment, but seeing him down there and kind of being threatened by him, it makes me want to see him get one over on him. You know, because clearly Gator, just like his dad, seems like a total asshole. They are very much those cocky people that think they are so much better than everybody else. But that's part of the fun of it. You know, you want to see them eat shit at the end. But the funny thing about it, though, is where you see Roy and you see him talking so highly of himself and talking about all the stuff he does. There's something very charismatic about him, but you give the words that he's saying to a character like Gator, and you just are so ready to see the little shit just eat all of the words that he's been saying. Just get what's coming to him. And it's so funny how clever that is. They are both very much saying the same things, acting the same way, feeling like they are superior. But because Roy has so much charisma, he's a fun villain. He's a villain you're like, you know what? Go you. You're an asshole and I kind of hate you, but hey, you're kind of charismatic. You're fun to watch. Gator is not fun to watch. You're waiting for that moment whenever things inevitably go wrong. And it's already happened a couple times with Munch getting the drop on him in the first episode, getting the drop on his partner in the second one. Those moments when he's like, oh shit, like those are great moments because of the character he is. So I really like the dichotomy between Gator and Roy and how they're utilizing both of them in the story as well. So I really like the build up for everything we're seeing right now. All the different, again, the little battles that are intermingled and how they're going to affect the other battles going forward into the season. They're really well set up. And I think that's something that the writers, again, they do it very well, and they've done it again. They've gotten my attention. They've gotten me to the point of I can't wait to see who's going to make the next move, who's going to make the next big move that's really going to drive the plot forward and make maybe a couple of the players that are on the board readjust their strategies, readjust how they're attacking this. Because I think about it, and I might, I kind of expect maybe Munch will help with Dot. Maybe he'll see, hey, you're fighting back against him. You don't want, you know what? I was hired to bring you in, but he betrayed me. He tried to have me killed. He didn't pay me what it was worth. I'm going to work with you now. And now the two of them going up against Roy, I mean, that would be quite an interesting team up. So there are just little stories like that I feel I'm getting excited because I want to see if that's where this story is going to go. If it doesn't happen, obviously I'll be a little disappointed and I will imagine what could have been. But I trust this writing team enough to see this story through and give me team ups that I want to see, give me story that I want to see, and make it exciting and enjoyable at the same time. And I think they do that very, very well. So I think there's not really much I could say, good or bad. It's all been really good. I could go into specifics about everything that's been happening, but we'd be here for a while, and I'd just be repeating the story, and that's not what these reviews are for. I'm trying to pick out the really good stuff and the really bad stuff, and honestly, none of it is blowing my mind necessarily, but it's all good. It's all good writing. It's all enjoyable, and it feels like another Fargo season. So I don't know, because I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the final season. I don't know what's going to happen in the sense of, hey, this is your last season, so go out with a bang, go out with a really interesting story, maybe tie some of these stories together. I don't know if we're going to get much of that or not, but I'm looking forward to seeing it from that point of view as well. As well as, thankfully, I did watch all of the previous seasons pretty recently. So I have those stories in my mind. I am going to be curious to see if we get some of those stories connected to this one. Like, obviously we've seen some characters pop up, like we had, what was his name? Wrench, I think was his name. The one hitman from season 1. We saw him in season 3. Obviously we saw Satchel, was the young Mike Milligan from season 2. So we have small connections to the other seasons, but I feel like if season 5 is supposed to be the last one, it almost sort of feels like this is the moment where you need to make those connections make sense, I guess. So I don't know if they plan to do that or if they plan to just make them all disconnected seasons with minor connections throughout. But I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening next. I think the only other thing I can think of is I do see now why they called it This Is Halloween, or why they played This Is Halloween in the last episode, because it is Halloween. I don't think I realized that. I don't know if they talked about that at all in the first 2 episodes. I don't remember them talking about it. But clearly we see in this episode it is Halloween time. I don't understand why they keep referencing Nightmare Before Christmas, because we saw a few masks of characters from that movie. I don't know why that connection is happening. I don't know what the connection is there. Maybe it'll become more apparent as the show goes on, but at the moment, I'm just kind of sitting there going, okay, it's a fun little reference. Why are we referencing it? What does it have to do with this scene? So I guess on the one hand, you could think about it how Jack Skellington is kind of worshipped in Halloween Town because he is the Pumpkin King. It's kind of similar to how Roy is worshipped as the sheriff of Clark or Stark County. Maybe that's they're making that kind of loose connection. That's the best I got. But yeah, I think it's a really fun start to the season, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. So, with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these first 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Fargo reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.